Hello and welcome to the workshop. My name is David Barnhart. Today we're going to be discussing the Prelude in G major from the Suite Number 1 for solo cello by Johann Sebastian Bach. A little bit of history on the suites themselves. They were composed during Bach's Curtain period under the culturally aware Prince Leopold between 1717 and 1723. During this time, Bach was very prolific. He wrote the 6 Brandenburg Concerti. He wrote the suites as well, of course, the cello suites, and then the solo sonatas and partitas for violin, and then the sonatas for violin and harpsichord. So quite a prolific time indeed. So he had also at his disposal a very good cellist whose name was Christian Bernhard Leinecke, and he thought he would be a good vehicle to really get these suites out there in solo cello form. Because the cello had taken a back seat in the orchestra, as it were, it had only filled out the left hand of the harpsichord in a small orchestra setting such as Bach would have performed in. And the gamba was at the time the prominent solo instrument, so he wanted to switch gears and brought the cello to the prominence. Also, from what I understand, Prince Leopold was not the best gamba player, so he didn't feel that these would be suited for Prince Leopold, so that's why he tapped Leinecke to perform these. And they are wonderful pieces in themselves. The Prelude is constructed in 2 parts. The first 22 measures are a chordal study in which we go through various key explorations, and then from the second half of 22 on, it's more of a scale study in a quasi kind of cadenza-like fashion, and then we come to a grand coming to the home key of G major with a big bombastic ending, and it's really quite dramatic. Today we're going to be working from the Becker bowings, which are 8 oboe, so it's a more romantic approach. This edition that I'm working from is published by ECS, and it's the Life and Marie Rozanoff edition for which Casals gave his blessing. And as I mentioned, Casals himself really discovered these later on after they lay dormant for 2 centuries, and thought they were really marvelous works, but was hesitant to bring them into his concert programs at first because they had been thought in the day as nothing more than mere etudes. But with his dynamic musical approach and innate musical genius, he really made them so that they were quite the listenable pieces that they are today. And in fact, people perform marathon concerts of 6 suites at a sitting. I've never sat through one myself, but it might be quite an undertaking, but I'm sure it's worth it. So with this 8 in a bow, you want to think about the technique, your right hand technique first. And what you want to do is you want to, of course, have your technique established with your right hand, but you want to, through the course of going over the G, D, and A string, you want to push the bow up into your fingers and then release. So it's going to be done in this fashion. Like so. And I would subdivide this even though it's a faster 4, ultimately that you want to get to, I would subdivide this into 8, so you can do it as such with following the bowings of 8 to a bow. So first down, like so. And then after you've done that, and really work with a metronome, I think that's the best thing to do at first, to get the stroke nice and even. And then after you've done that, apply your left hand to the mix, and I would go through and work out the chords. There's an open G major chord, like that. And then once we get to bar 5, we start to get into a little exploration. So here there are other places where you can apply that chord study here. He really goes through a more melodic approach at this point, but we're kind of getting into very different territory here. Another place where you can work on that. And then here. And then we come to this section here at measure 19. To the half cadence at 22 in the first half there. So that's the way you want to approach it. As far as how to use the dynamics here, I would start out with a medium sound. Mezzo forte, it says piano, but all that existed, of course, in Bach's day was forte and piano. But with this kind of bowing, it alludes to that kind of reflection of light and shade, light and shade. So you kind of want to approach it this way. When you've done the opening section, this is where the piece really starts to establish itself after measure 4. And when you get to measure 5, or when at the end of measure 4, you kind of want to have a little respite. So take your time with this. These are not easy to do in and of themselves because we're a solo work and we're alone, but you know, once we have these really under our belt, then we can really start to explore with the nuances we can make to really make the piece our own. So let's start with measure 5 here. So this is the new, I'm going to play from measure 4 into measure 5 so that you can see how that works. So. Here is, and then we come out of D major and then we go into E minor, so he's going into yet another key here in bar 8. So and it's much darker, so you want to pull back a little bit in 7 so that you can set up measure 8 there. Want to go right from that E into that F sharp. You know, Casals brought up a very good point, and there are several. There's a book that's very good on getting across his points about the art of interpretation, and it's by a fellow named David Blum. And I highly recommend that book, and I'll put it in the description notes down below. But Casals talks about this piece in a series of rainbows. So you want to kind of think about this kind of rainbow-like architecture here. In the beginning of the piece, you have... the end of that rainbow. So we kind of arc up to the G, F sharp, C in 3, and then we slowly come back down through measure 4 to that F sharp at the end of 4 there, that last 16th. So I'll do that again for you. There's the beginning of another rainbow right there. So when we get to, let's go back to 5, and this is where the other one begins. So. Smaller one. So you kind of have to figure out where you want the phrasing to go. It's not always proportioned the way you think. Some are longer sets of overarching phrases, like the beginning in that 4 bar, and then it goes down to 2 bars, and then 1. So he kind of plays around a lot with color, and you want to bring that to the forefront. So here. again, take your time. Don't worry that the 16ths are there and you're saying that, oh my God, I have to get to the end. I have to get to the end. No, you've got to really explore this and enjoy while you're doing it. Have fun with it. That's not always easy to do when we're in the performance mode, but that's the idea that we're trying to achieve here. So and at 18, here we are. At that dramatic half cadence, which is really quite something there. You know, there's a wonderful, I would also suggest going and looking at this fellow's page, YouTube page, who does a wonderful harmonic analysis of this, and he goes through it, and it is a long video, but it's worth the full hour that it is, because he really brings everything to light as far as what he's trying to do harmonically in the piece. Okay, so we've explored the first part, and now we've arrived at D major, but we're not done yet, obviously. So now we go into the next section. Scale exploration, as you can see from the beginning here. And there's another rainbow. Where does it start from? It goes from the A and it goes up to the E flat. That's where we have to go. So. There's a surprise there, right there, at the middle of 26 with this augmented fourth here. You know, that really changes the character right there. Now we're back in D major at the beginning of 29. So it's really quite an ingenious part here. And then we begin this cascade of scales from there on out. Okay, so also beware of some of the shifting in here. You have to take note where you have finger replacement. You want to practice those parts to make sure that your notes match when you're having to replace your fingers. I'm thinking of these kind of chromatic bridge sections, such as here. Here you have to make sure first that augmented fourth is correct. Do that, and that being brought up, let's go on. So from here we have these cascade of scales into this, what I started to play was this barilage section. So in this section, what that means is a mixture of colors, but with one note being the melody, and then the other, of course, the pedal. So in this case, we have all these A's. But what you want to do is you want to bring out the tune here. So first, practice it this way. And that's where we're going to, is D. So you want to make sure that the tune has that ascendancy to that D from the F sharp at the beginning. So here, we'll give it a little reflection. Then, again, it happens here. Then we have the chromatic ascendancy up to G. So you want to make sure that in that section, in the first section that I was just illustrating, that you make sure that that tune is brought out. So what you want. That's what you want to achieve. So here, then we have the chords at the end. So make it very dramatic at the end. I would suggest doing it that way. Make sure when you're doing this, the chordal section, to match your first finger with open D there to make sure that that's correct, and play this game like we did in the beginning here. Here. That's the ending. So it's essentially going from 1 to 5/7 back to 1 again. So do that game with yourself, that kind of chordal game there. It's also been suggested that instead of stopped D there, you could play open D, which I've experimented with and does sound pretty good, because you want, maybe you want the D to ring a little bit, as somebody said, I noticed. So that. So, you know, there are any number of ways you can do this. With the myriad of editions out there, most people like to do the three bowing, you know, because they can play it faster and all that sort of thing. But I think it's really important to get the music across here. So I hope that this has helped. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. Please like and subscribe, as I'm trying to get more people onto this channel. And thank you very much for watching.